Beyond the Gates spoilers for Tuesday, September 23, 2025 tease that Anita's anger flares up as soon as Nicole confides in her about Ted's shocking betrayal of Leslie. For years, Anita has considered Ted an acceptable, albeit flawed, presence in her daughter's life, but hearing that he has crossed the most unforgivable line shatters any remaining trust. Anita's disappointment is not slight, it is visceral, deep, and imbued with the protective rage only a mother can nurture. Ted's inability to contain his desire, his surrender to temptation, confirms every suspicion Anita has harbored about him. She looks at her daughter's pain, at the fleeting hesitation on Nicole's usually placid face, and she knows that his is no longer just a misstep in marriage, it's about survival, dignity, and reclaiming Nicole's sense of self. Nicole is no stranger to guiding others through their darkest moments. As a relationship counselor, she has listened to countless stories of betrayal, heartbreak, and healing. Yet the irony burns her. While she has helped others mend or end toxic connections, she now stands at the crossroads of her own life, paralyzed by the weight of choice. The professional armor she wears during the day cannot shield her from the raw anguish that presses against her chest at night. Anita's words linger like an echo, "End it now, before he drags you further down." Anita doesn't mince words. She insists that peace will only come when Ted is no longer a shadow hovering over Nicole's days. For Anita, there is no redemption for a man who seeks comfort in Leslie's bed. The thought tortures Nicole. Forgiveness, once considered a noble path, suddenly feels like self-betrayal. She turns the advice over in her mind endlessly, measuring Ted's pleas against her own exhaustion. Slowly, painfully, she reaches her decision: she will not forgive him. Not this time. Not after Leslie. A cold finality settles in her chest, equal parts sorrow and resolve. The inevitable confrontation cannot be delayed. Anita seizes her chance when she spots Ted, demanding a serious conversation that slices through superficial politeness. Her voice is sharp, each word deliberate, as she lays out what must be said. Ted is not to continue this charade of marriage. He has inflicted enough wounds, and it is time he steps away. Ted, cornered and trembling, resorts to desperate begging. He swears he cannot live without Nicole, that his lapse in judgment was a fleeting weakness rather than a reflection of his love. But Anita's rage surges at his audacity. She spits his betrayal back at him, reminding him in brutal detail of the night he surrendered himself to Leslie. The shame that floods Ted's face does little to soften her. In Anita's eyes, his credibility is gone. He has no ground to stand on, no right to ask for anything. Meanwhile, the family drama expands beyond Nicole's turmoil. In another corner of this intricate web, Nicole's daughter Kat finds herself grappling with her own storm of emotions. Her relationship with Thomas has begun to unravel under the weight of her own harshness. The sharp words she flung at him in a heated moment cut deeper than she intended, leaving Thomas bruised in pride and spirit. Instead of fighting back, Thomas withdraws. Humiliated, he flees to a bar, drowning his sadness in the bitter burn of alcohol. The scene is messy and raw. This is not the confident Thomas Kat once admired, but a man hollowed out by rejection. Kat, though outwardly proud and unyielding, is unsettled by his absence. The silence he leaves behind gnaws at her. Seeking clarity, she turns to Chelsea, her cousin and confidant, hoping for the wisdom she herself cannot summon. Yet Chelsea greets the situation with a kind of amused detachment that irritates Kat even as it challenges her. Chelsea sees irony in the fact that Kat, always so self-assured and arrogant, now stands shaken by the complexities of her first real romance. Chelsea's advice is blunt, almost mocking. She tells Kat that her frustration stems not from a lack of love, but from inexperience. Kat, who prides herself on mastery in all areas, has never tasted the elusive harmony that comes with physical intimacy. Chelsea explains that pleasure is not immediate, not automatic. It requires patience, exploration, and vulnerability, things Kat is unaccustomed to offering. Chelsea nudges her toward self-reflection, urging her to ask whether her pursuit of Thomas is truly rooted in love or merely in her desire to conquer the one thing that has eluded her so far. The words sting, but they linger. Kat begins to wrestle with the possibility that her connection with Thomas may be more about pride than passion. Yet there is no time to dwell too long, because the presence of Eva complicates matters further. While Kat hesitates and overanalyzes, Eva slips into Thomas's orbit with a natural ease. Their conversations, once casual, deepen into a rhythm that feels unforced. They laugh, share stories, and discover common ground in ways Kat has struggled to maintain. The threat becomes undeniable. Eva may very well succeed where Kat has failed. This triangle forms a new battleground, a subtle but deadly war of affections. Kat faces the looming question of whether she is willing to fight for Thomas sincerely, stripping away her pride, or whether she will release him and watch Eva step into the space she abandoned. The tension builds not only between the three of them, but within Kat herself. The woman who once believed she had all the answers now finds herself unmoored, searching for a truth she cannot yet name. At the heart of all these entangled dramas lies the central theme of betrayal and its aftermath. Anita's fight to protect Nicole, Nicole's choice to walk away from Ted, Kat's inner conflict over Thomas, deception, and discovery. Each decision triggers a ripple effect, reshaping lives in ways none of them can fully anticipate. The early days of this unfolding chaos are defined by raw emotion, by confrontations that leave wounds exposed rather than healed. Every character stands at the edge of transformation, though none yet knows what shape that transformation will take. Anita grows harder, more uncompromising, determined to shield her daughter from further harm. Nicole steels herself against loneliness, choosing dignity over dependence. Ted spirals into desperation, clinging to a love he himself has poisoned. Kat stumbles through the labyrinth of self-discovery, her pride cracking under the weight of uncertainty. And Eva, patient and perceptive, positions herself as a quiet contender in the silent war for Thomas's heart. The momentum builds, and each scene layers tension upon tension. Conversations become weapons, silences become verdicts, and every choice carries the weight of consequence. The foundation has been laid for betrayals to deepen, alliances to shift, and hearts to either break or heal in unexpected ways. Under the surface of Fairmont Crest, emotions keep spiraling, pushing each character further into a labyrinth of choices they can no longer avoid. Nicole, after making the painful decision to reject forgiveness, now confronts the silence that follows. Ted does not vanish easily, and his presence becomes a haunting reminder of betrayal. He lingers near her life in quiet desperation, showing up at familiar places as if proximity could erase what he has done. Yet the more he clings, the more Nicole feels suffocated, reaffirming her decision. She wrestles with the loneliness of separation, but she also discovers small fragments of freedom she had forgotten: an uninterrupted morning coffee, a sense of clarity in her sessions with clients, the knowledge that she can breathe without waiting for his next mistake. Anita, proud of her daughter's resolve, grows even more vigilant. She knows Ted's persistence will not fade without a fight, and her instincts tell her to remain watchful. Anita begins to confront Leslie directly, holding her accountable for the devastation she caused. Their encounters are sharp, filled with venomous words layered with unspoken history. Anita sees Leslie not just as Ted's accomplice, but as a rival presence encroaching upon her family's stability. Leslie, however, seems unbothered, almost smug, as though she thrives on the chaos she has helped unleash. This infuriates Anita further, setting the stage for a longer, more personal conflict between the two women. While this battle plays out, Kat's turmoil grows more complicated. Thomas has not forgiven her cruelty, and his time spent drowning sorrows at the bar soon becomes a habit rather than a momentary lapse. He begins slipping further into late nights, masking his pain with alcohol and casual conversations that never satisfy the ache Kat left behind. It is in these vulnerable moments that Eva reappears, her voice soft, her presence grounding. She does not push him but listens intently, offering him the comfort of being seen. Their connection strengthens not through fiery passion, but through quiet understanding. Thomas finds in her a gentleness he did not expect, a reprieve from the sharp edges of Kat's love. Kat, meanwhile, grows increasingly restless. Chelsea's words return to her in waves, making her question whether her love for Thomas is real or merely a challenge she wanted to win. Jealousy begins to gnaw at her once she notices the growing closeness between Thomas and Eva. The thought of losing him unsettles her more than she wants to admit. Yet every attempt she makes to fix the fracture feels clumsy, because sincerity does not come easily to her. Kat is forced to confront the uncomfortable truth: if she cannot lower her pride, Thomas may slip from her grasp entirely. Chelsea watches all of this with a mixture of amusement and quiet frustration. She recognizes Kat's struggle but refuses to coddle her. Instead, she challenges her cousin to either step into the relationship wholeheartedly or walk away before doing more damage. Chelsea's pragmatic tone cuts through Kat's denial, and for the first time, Kat begins to wonder if love means surrendering her need to control. Eva's position grows stronger as she spends more time with Thomas. What started as simple conversation becomes shared laughter, and what was once a friendship edges toward something tender. The chemistry between them becomes visible to others, sparking whispers that Kat cannot ignore. The possibility of Eva and Thomas becoming something real casts a shadow over Kat's bravado, leaving her torn between her instinct to fight and the temptation to let go. Meanwhile, Anita's focus on protecting Nicole pulls her deeper into the unfolding storm. Ted, cornered on all sides, grows more reckless. His pleas become less about love and more about survival, as if clinging to Nicole is the only way to prove he is not defined by his mistakes. He confronts Anita with renewed intensity, insisting that she is unfairly poisoning Nicole against him. Anita, unwavering, stands her ground. Her fury sharpens her words, leaving Ted shaken and increasingly isolated. The image of a once confident man crumbles, replaced by desperation that borders on obsession. Nicole, watching Ted unravel, feels both pity and revulsion. She recognizes his weakness as proof that she made the right decision, yet part of her mourns the dream of the life they were supposed to share. The ache of lost potential follows her into sleepless nights. She begins to pour more energy into her work, channeling her heartbreak into guiding others. In doing so, she starts to find fragments of healing, though the path forward remains uncertain. Kat's storyline, however, threatens to explode as her emotions spiral out of control. The sight of Thomas and Eva together awakens a raw panic she cannot disguise. For perhaps the first time, she contemplates what it would mean to lose not just Thomas, but the image she built of herself as the one in control. Her nights grow restless, filled with flashes of memory and imagined betrayals. She debates whether to fight for him with genuine vulnerability or retreat entirely. This inner war pushes her closer to Chelsea, whose blunt honesty forces her to see what she has been avoiding all along. Cat love is not about conquest, but about surrender. Eva, meanwhile, faces her own doubts. Though her bond with Thomas feels authentic, she fears being seen as the woman who swooped in on her cousin's relationship. She weighs her loyalty to family against the undeniable connection she feels. The tension becomes an unspoken thread between her and Thomas, one that could either snap under the weight of guilt or evolve into something unshakable. As the days progress, every character edges toward pivotal choices. Nicole contemplates what it would mean to embrace independence fully, to live without the shadow of Ted. Anita considers how far she will go to protect her daughter from harm, even if it means open war with Leslie. Ted grapples with his shrinking relevance, desperate to cling to the remnants of a marriage already dead. Kat stands at a crossroads between pride and vulnerability, while Eva and Thomas discover whether their bond is strong enough to withstand the scrutiny that surrounds them. The stage is set for dramatic confrontations and painful revelations. Tensions between Anita and Leslie threaten to ignite a feud that could split families apart. Nicole's attempt to rebuild her life tests her strength in ways she never anticipated. Kat's jealousy simmers dangerously close to boiling, and her decisions may determine not only her own happiness but also the stability of the fragile connections around her. Eva and Thomas inch closer to something that feels like love, but every step forward risks exposure, betrayal, and heartbreak. As secrets surface and choices harden into irreversible actions, the fragile balance of relationships within this tangled circle begins to crumble. Each move feels heavier than the last, pushing every character closer to consequences that will define their futures. What lies ahead is uncertain, but the fractures are too deep to ignore. The characters are no longer just reacting, they are transforming, each driven by desire, regret, and the desperate need to reclaim what they believe is theirs. The storm inside Fairmont Crest has been building, and as the emotional threads knot tighter, each character is forced to face truths they can no longer avoid. Nicole, having drawn her line in the sand, finally begins to taste freedom. She embraces her independence, but the path is steep, and her resolve is tested by Ted's relentless intrusions. He appears at her workplace, sends flowers she never asked for, leaves messages that oscillate between remorse and manipulation. Nicole learns to steel herself, refusing to let guilt or nostalgia weaken her. The counselor who once advised others to walk away from toxic love now lives her own advice with unflinching determination. Anita, steadfast in her support, becomes both shield and sword. She grows fiercer, unafraid to confront Leslie in public. Their exchanges evolve from sharp whispers to outright verbal duels, drawing the attention of the community. Anita no longer sees Leslie as a rival in some petty love triangle but as an invasive force feeding off her family's pain. Their conflict represents more than personal injury, it is a battle for dignity, for the right to protect the boundaries of home. Anita warns Leslie that her reign of chaos will not last. Leslie, smirking, responds that she has only just begun. The climax of their feud erupts during a family gathering where tensions boil over. Words turn into threats, and though no physical blows are exchanged, the fallout is irreparable. Leslie storms out with a triumphant grin, but Anita knows the war has shifted into its final stage. She resolves to expose Leslie's duplicity to the entire circle, to strip her of the smug confidence she carries like armor. Kat's arc reaches its breaking point. Watching Thomas drift toward Eva is like watching her pride crumble in slow motion. Her arrogance, once her shield, now isolates her. Chelsea's blunt counsel pierces deeper than ever before, forcing Kat to acknowledge her flaws. For the first time, she allows herself to cry without shame, confessing that she never truly knew how to love. Chelsea, though unsentimental, reassures her that honesty is the first step. Kat wrestles with whether to fight for Thomas with authenticity or step aside gracefully. But Thomas has changed. The man who once sought Kat's approval now recognizes the peace he feels with Eva. Their bond, forged in moments of vulnerability, has grown undeniable. He is no longer intoxicated by Kat's fire but soothed by Eva's quiet strength. Still, he fears the fallout of choosing Eva, knowing Kat's pride could ignite retaliation that would ripple through their family. Eva, too, hesitates, unwilling to be branded as the woman who stole her cousin's lover. Their connection teeters on the edge of fulfillment and collapse. The resolution comes not with grand declarations but with quiet choices. Nicole, standing firm, serves divorce papers to Ted. The act is not explosive, but it is final. Ted, faced with the reality that she will never return, spirals into silence. His desperate pleas evaporate, leaving behind only the hollow echo of what he destroyed. Anita watches proudly, though with a heavy heart, knowing her daughter has reclaimed her life. Leslie, emboldened by her entanglement with Ted, begins to overplay her hand. She flaunts their affair as though it grants her victory, but the community's patience wears thin. Whispers turn into open judgment. She finds herself increasingly isolated, her alliances fragile, her smugness fading under the weight of scrutiny. Anita's prediction proves true. Chouse has a limit, and Leslie has reached it. Kat makes her decision in a moment of painful clarity. She approaches Thomas with vulnerability she has never shown before, confessing her mistakes and admitting that she never understood love until it was slipping away. Thomas listens, his expression torn, but ultimately he tells her the truth. He has found something real with Eva, something he cannot ignore. Kat's pride shatters completely, but in its place, a new humility is born. She does not lash out. Instead, she walks away, heartbroken but transformed. For once, she lets go. Eva and Thomas, though burdened by the weight of family judgment, choose to step into the light together. Their relationship is not celebrated but not condemned either. It simply exists, quietly, determinedly, a testament to the idea that love can grow in unexpected places. Eva's loyalty to herself outweighs her fear of perception, and Thomas finally finds a partner who understands his fragility. The final image is not one of dramatic reunions or fiery destruction, but of subtle transformation. Nicole stands with Anita, stronger than before, her independence no longer a question but a reality. Ted, fading into irrelevance, becomes a shadow of what he once was. Leslie, stripped of her influence, grapples with the loneliness her schemes created. Kat, humbled, begins a journey of self-discovery unbound from conquest. Chelsea remains a sharp observer, amused yet quietly supportive, her role as truth-teller intact. Eva and Thomas, side by side, navigate the uncertain road ahead with cautious hope. The gates that once held these lives in deceptive order now swing wide open, revealing the fractures, the scars, and the resilience that lie beyond. What remains is not perfection, but survival, a new chapter forged from the ashes of betrayal, pride, and unspoken longing.